the Big A.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Talking Horses. Sarah Albadwi and Andy Serling on a gorgeous Saturday here, a nice weekend, Memorial Day weekend kicking off. I don't know about you, but the Friday to Monday, it just throws your clock off, right? I couldn't come to terms with today being Saturday.
No, it's Friday.
I know, it's our entire clocks are set in that. Speaking of clocks, in case you noticed, it was 109 minutes to post for quite a while just now on our feed. So
we've made time stand still.
Sarah threw a little fit over there. She was so upset that we're going to have to go clean here, and we'll verbalize our picks for today's show, and hopefully we'll get things straightened out as we move along. You, on the other hand, need to straighten things out and get over to NYRA If you are not a member of NYRA no better time than the present. Use the promo code Belmont25, and I'm going to make an educated guess this goes through Belmont Stakes weekend, at least Saturday. Free $25 bet in the Belmont. Well, you can't give a Belmont bet when it's over. People on Twitter have bets after races, but in the actuality of making bets at the window, you have to do it before the race. You get a $200 sign-up bonus as well. Track stats, want to check them out over at NYRA Bets as well, nyrabets.com. We have the $15 bonus, 75 at Belmont and Monmouth. Of course, we'll be covering Monmouth on America's Day at the Races, as we will throughout the meet. Get $15 win or lose. Middle pick 4, race number, is it 5? No, 5 today, right? Because race 4 is the middle pick 5, which is a mandatory payout. Somebody asked me, by the way, if they thought we'd have mandatory payouts on Monday. I do not believe we do, even though we're going to Saratoga. It's still considered part of the Belmont at the Big A meet. Yeah. Belmont at the Big S. What else do we have? The cross-country pick 5. The Pine Ridge, the Cliffhanger, race 8 here, and then 2 more at Monmouth Park as well. What else do we have? We have the show. Oh, so we are on 12:30 to 3 in FS2. Sarah and I are FS2 worthy, and FS1 from 3 to 5, covering all the action in that time period from here and Monmouth Park as well. All right, race number 1. Well, race number 1 was really the only race that was severely touched by scratches. So if you're going to do it, get it out of the way. Throughout the day, there's a handful of scratches. I don't think any of them were particularly relevant. Here, though, I think the 2 horses that you and I and a lot of people were probably focusing on, because, look at that. Look at that, like magic. So we'll get those picks up.
Incredible.
As well. Great job, guys. I am 7315 here. You are?
I am 3751.
All right. So there's basically 2 horses that are going to take the bulk of the play, and they're Sister Linda and Trade Secret. Sarah, I really don't care. One of them will probably win.
Who do you really trust or like in this race? I think we both had some interest in the horses that were facing better company.
The horses we trusted and liked weren't trustworthy enough to run. So, in reality, we're already wrong.
I mean, I guess we maybe have saved some money.
Show that replay if you want, guys.
This is a situation where it would really not surprise me if anyone won this race. I think we're dealing with a situation where...
Wait a second. I'm going to stop you there. Really? You think Gringotts wins? You won't be at all surprised?
what, putting blinkers on, sitting closer to a pace if
Who
there
cares?
isn't one?
Those blinkers coming with an engine?
Yes, jet
Okay.
fuel in the back.
I mean,
this is a bad field. This is a bad field.
it's not a particularly strong field, but you do have 2 horses in the 3 and 7 that are running races that are significantly better than the other 2. I prefer the 7 because at least she's showing more recency and better races, and she's probably going to be a better price.
Yeah.
And I'm a little sick of Sister Linda. And if you think that Gringot's going to go and Romero Mirage is often aggressive, I don't know where she's exactly going to find her speed from because she has absolutely none. Sister Linda may have a bit of a pace advantage. I'd be more concerned with Cupid's Girl. Isn't Cupid's Girl supposed to be the one that's going in here?
Well, Time for Me, yes, certainly think so. And I mean, Ramon Vasquez has been aggressive, and she probably has only that way to get the job done in this race. I mean, if she's going to try to win this race, you would imagine they would try to be forward. With Trade Secret, for me, it's just that there was a voided claim last time. I like that Sister Linda is cutting back slightly in distance. It is a quick turnaround, so that might be a little bit of a concern, but I don't know, it's these 2. I have no preference.
Right, I don't really either. I've just seen a little bit enough of Sister Linda, to be honest with you, and I don't care about the voided claims because the reality of the voided claims is they're a distraction. There's no question in my mind that they are a distraction. And since we don't get the vet reports, we don't know exactly what it was, we don't have any information, we see these horses come back and win with regularity. So I don't like it. I think it's a problem. And I think it's a self-created problem on our part, and it's really incumbent on us to provide more information to the public than we already are. But since we aren't, and since I regularly see these horses come back and run fine, I don't see any reason to pay attention to it. To me, I see it, and it just gets in the way. You know what I mean? You can't avoid seeing it. What does it mean?
Speculation. That's the problem, and you don't know.
We don't want
if it's
speculation. I mean, we want to speculate in our handicapping.
Sure.
We don't want to speculate when
about whether or not our
it's
horse is
worse
okay.
than the gelding, the missing gelding information, which is not foolproof and should not have been put in the paper to begin with, just because they thought it was cute. Race number 2, 6.5 furlongs. We'll start with Irimon, who I've kind of given up on. Will Irimon be better at 6.5 furlongs? He finally ran a little bit last time, and he did kind of hang at the end, so maybe less distance will be better for him. I think he is the horse to beat in this race, even though I put him 3rd.
You love this guy. You've been hoping that he would get back to some of his
Pick him
better...
last time.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
No, you didn't?
No, I picked the Vinsanto at about even money or something.
Oh, you've picked him a couple times, though, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, he has races going back that made some sense, and then this race showed that maybe there was a little bit of life left in him, and I think that with him, I've just never really been his biggest fan. I didn't like that he tailed off the way that he did, but I do like the cutback for him. I just don't know how capable he really is.
So why did you pick First Sons?
Because he was totally against the racetrack, second time out, a day where he really wanted to be towards the inside on January 18th when Independent Paul was able to take full advantage of that rail run. And I don't love that he was then off after that period of time, but his debut, there are some excuses. He didn't get out of the gate all that quickly, and I think he's just had 2 races where you can really make those excuses for him being against the racetrack, breaking slowly, and sort of look at him as a horse that had some things go against him, and now coming back in this spot after a little bit of a freshening, he's just going to be a slightly better price than Stanley Ruff.
Yeah, as far as First Sons, racetrack besides, he also dueled with Call Bob, who went a very fast pace and was kind of a they knew horse in that race. And he's also the controlling speed in this race. You know, unless he fails to get out of the gate, he's going to be in front here. So I just thought that was a real advantage for him. As far as Stanley Ruff, I don't have any real proof that he's that good. I know he has the look of a horse that was figuring it out a little late. Was he really? Or was he just passing bad horses? And why is he necessarily going to be better going a little bit shorter? He's got Irad Ortiz, so he's guaranteed to be a monstrous favorite in this race. And he may well win this race. He still ran a 53 buyer last time, which is almost as fast as Alpha Sunny's last figure. And he's kind of the horse to beat in a way. Man, he feels like he's going to be an overbet horse in this race, and there's just no guarantee he's much worse.
And there's no guarantee that there's a standout separating him from the rest of this field. I get he's had less chances to disappoint, and there could be some more upside, and maybe someone thinks that he could take a step forward. But if he doesn't, he's pretty average with everybody else that's in this race.
I agree. I agree. I think that's absolutely right. I think he's a horse that's just going to be a huge favorite. And it's a lot of the intangibles. It's Irad, it's Rick, it's sort of a whole bunch of things that, I mean, yes, it matters when Irad Ortiz rides horses, but it's not magic. He doesn't sprinkle fairy dust on them.
He doesn't?
I thought race number 3 was a very, very tough race. And I focused, and you've got him second, and I've got him third, that I thought once again that Bob John Ray. Can you think of a worse name for somebody if you actually like to bet your money? This proof that Mike Dubb is not a bettor. I mean, he's got two incredibly common names and a reasonably common name with Ray. So this one's going to get all of the dopey money, all the dopey money, right, is going in on this horse. He's going to suck it all in. And I hate him because he beat me last time, and I thought he ran well to beat me last time. The only thing that this horse is missing, honestly, is IRAD. If he had IRAD, he could be like 3-5 in this race, right?
Maybe 2-5, yeah.
And are we really convinced he's any better? I mean, does he have some upside? Sure he does. Chad Brown, for what it's worth, off a maiden win in a dirt route at Naira, he is 37% with a 202 ROI. And with New York breds, he's 5 for 12 with a 373 ROI. So these horses do come back and outrun their odds, which is a lot for a guy whose horses are overbet. But I don't know. I just couldn't bring myself to pick him on top because I don't know that he's better than horses in this race. What he is upside.
Right, and I like seeing that big improvement, stretching out the second start, but the first
He was
start,
good last time. He
ran
very well.
That's a big jump up.
Yep.
And I just kind of want to see him again against tougher company, against horses that have won races, against older horses like he did defeat last time, but horses that have won before. And I just don't necessarily know how good or talented he is.
The problem with horses like the 5 Boys Code and the 7 Jackson Heights, who obviously I don't disagree with you, I have him second. Jackson Heights is 1 for 12 with 4 seconds. Boys Code is 1 for 18 with 9 seconds and thirds. Why are they losing all the time? Because they're losing to the Bob John Ray and Ray and Bob and Bill and Terry and whoever else, and Merlin's Moment. They're losing to horses like this who are more lightly raced in all likelihood with upside. But you're right, they're faster. And why is Jackson Heights really supposed to be a demonstrably bigger price than Bob John Ray?
A horse that he has run faster than.
Yeah.
On several occasions.
On most of his races.
Yeah, so it's really just that for me, that he's been able to run second with one of his faster numbers in a stakes, going the mile in an 1/8 distance. He ran well last time to finish second to Dr. Kraft. I hate the 4 seconds. I don't really love seeing that when you have a horse that only has the one victory and keeps finishing in the money, but not really putting things together to get the victory. But at the price differential between him and Bob John Ray, I'd rather go with the horse that has run that number a couple of times.
Yeah, I see it all, but that's why I didn't want to pick him.
Fair.
And I don't disagree with a single thing you've said. I just don't want to pick these horses that are just piling them up, even though they can win. And if Bad Larry gets a mile and an 1/8, he's going to beat me. And I know the pace projector has Ola ahead of Bad Larry. That's only because Lane Luzzy forgot to bring his brain with him, because he's just faster than these. How is the pace projector have Ola in front of him?
Bad Larry's supposed to be in front. He got away with a pretty soft, easy pace last time sprinting, but he's stretching back out.
He's inside him. He's
very
got
quick.
to. I put it this way: when Bad Larry loses this race, if it's not on the front end, then there's no excuse. And Ola, I'm just so sick of Ola. I do like the rider change on him, but I looked at Bob John Ray and Merlin's Moment, and they ran very similar races last time. And I thought, you know what? Why wouldn't I take the one that's going to be twice the price of the other one? Because he's not going to take the connection money. And why can't he improve for Jimmy Bond? Off maiden wins in the dirt. Jimmy 6 for 25, 489 ROI. He has not had much success with routers. But, I mean, I don't know what to say. I didn't look to see if they were horses stretching out. This horse appears to be a bit of a natural router. So I just took him as the one similar to Bob John Ray, just a much better price.
Yeah, his last 2 races have been decent. I mean, he's really done very little wrong in his 2 starts.
And I just got some confirmation on the carryover situation. If we have a carryover, whether pick 5 or pick 6 on Monday's card, it will carry to Thursday of Belmont Stakes weekend.
Cool.
Race number 4. Race number 4. I want to take a look at the replay of capital spending in Saratoga. And, you know, there was legit trouble in this race.
The whole
I'm
way.
not going to deny it. And I don't really have a big problem, frankly, with either of these horses. I just went in a slightly different direction, though I do think the capital spending ran fairly well in this race, and he's probably slightly the horse to beat.
They both had legitimate trouble. They both had moments where they had to steady, where they had to wait on having room behind horses in order to make their runs. Capital spending more towards the inside, Saratoga more towards the outside. But I think that you could argue that there was significant inconveniences for both of those horses in that race. And they're both extremely logical in here. I went to sort of an illogical crazy horse, but
Yes, you did. Do you, at some point, if you get like, do you get a check card for 10 crazy picks if none of them win?
Yeah, I get a free coffee.
You get like a pie hits you in the face or something?
No, it's
You don't get a
free
free coffee for giving ridiculous picks that run last at 40 to 1. You have to get like a pie in the face.
You know, I have a reason. I have many reasons.
One could make a reason to like troubled luck in this race.
Yeah,
it would
that
be
horse.
a poor one, but one could make it. What is your possible reason for La Indecente?
We've seen this trainer over the past 2 weeks or so pop up with some horses at big prices that are doing things that are very atypical of his stats. Carol T winning at 23 to 1, winning yesterday with a first-time starter, the first
okay.
one.
Carol T had a race
I'm not done.
that made Carol T
I understand
legitimate.
that.
The one yesterday had Javier Castellano and fast workouts.
This one has fast workouts. The horses that have worked bullets for this trainer coming in over the last month have outrun their odds significantly.
Okay.
This is a work
If he
that,
runs sixth, are you considering it a victorious selection for you, but not for people who bet it?
If this horse hits the super, yes.
Yeah, that's a problem because you're putting the horse on top. You're not putting it second. You're not putting it third. So you're telling people this is your top selection. I have a massive disagreement with that philosophy. I don't think there's any. It's not about glory, this show. It's about
Do
trying
you really
to.
think I'm looking for glory picking a 30 to
Yeah,
1 shot?
I do. I do, actually. I think that these kind of picks are glory picks. And you can pick them second or third, and people would say, great, Sarah or Andy or Maggie had these horses third. How is this horse going to win here?
None of the horses that have worked more than one bullet for this trainer over the past month have finished worse than third.
Okay. Okay.
I think there's something that's worth noticing with the pattern that we're seeing with these workouts changing, and I think that this horse switching surfaces, having already run against a decent field first time out and not doing much running, and then being a part of the pace and falling apart in a race where the pace was coming apart on dirt, now making the 3-year-old debut, this horse is quick.
Right, but has not shown any ability whatsoever. That's the problem. Against horses that have done a little bit of running. Okay, we will agree to disagree on all of that. The horse is a big price, and I can't look good knocking it. I just don't know about having these horses as top selections. That's my problem. As far as Generous Luva, I wish IRAD wasn't riding this horse because you get the IRAD money. And I'm not convinced this horse is going to be better turning back in distance. I do know this horse got a horrifically bad ride last time.
Such a bad trip.
And I don't know how good the race was the horse is coming out of and all of those different intangibles. But this horse ran extremely well in that race, given the trip that he got. And I've been kind of waiting to come back. And so I have nothing against the 2 and 11, who seem like the logical horse in this race. And I don't really have a lot of other clever stuff to say. I guess Heavenly Girl's not impossible. Ran okay first time on the turf. Maybe needed the race last time out, I suppose. So could be the speed in this race, and probably the speed along with your horse, actually.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But I'm going to take the number 5, Generous Luva, even though I don't like the fact that IRAD's going to drive the price down.
Worth mentioning that we don't have our usual morning line maker for today's card.
We don't. Well, that's going to really come into play in a later race where
Yes, it is.
where I already have ridiculed him. It's Craig Milkowski. And I don't want to tease Craig because, first of all, he's one of the
very
heroes
intelligent.
in racing with his correcting times everywhere but here for other reasons. But he is the conscience of race timing in this industry, and filling in to make a morning line is a very thankless job. But I'm still going to ridicule him in a later race today. Race number 5. If one of the 2 or 10 don't win this race, it's going to be a real upset. I mean, these horses, and will look, ran well. First time in Forever ran much, much better than Roagna did here. What First Time Forever had was a little more recency. And now, you've got post 2 in this race as opposed to post 10 last time, and Roagna has post number 10. So while I do respect Roagna, won't be surprised if he wins, I just think the trip situation is thrown so favorably into First Time in Forever's place that even though going to be a shorter price, I just think he really is a lot more likely to win.
Oh, so you went 2-10, not 10-2?
Yes.
Oh, okay, my mistake. Look, I mean, coming into that race last time out, this horse had so much consistency and really does seem to show up in most of her races. I mean, you can't really knock much about running buyers in the 80s over and over again. A little slight dip last time, but behind a horse that you and I both have some respect for and overacting. And I understand the post position difference. I just wonder if Ronnie is a horse with a little bit more upside. having
No,
only
I
the two
don't.
starts.
I don't disagree with any of that. I don't. My problem is part of my problem is I wonder if we were all a little bit overwhelmed or overly whelmed by, I don't know how to put that, by the debut, because the horse was so visually impressive winning. But how good is she really? And she had a better trip than First Time Forever last time and got easily beaten by her. So that worries me a little bit. Layoff, and the layoff is fair. I get all that. That's not invalid. And listen, 5-2 night. Now they're not going to be 5-2. First Time Forever is going to be 6 or 7-5, and I think that Roagna is going to be 3-1. And
Boxed Wine will be third choice.
It's not possible that Boxed Wine is a shorter price than Roagna, is it?
I don't think so. No.
It doesn't seem possible, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Boxed Wine ran fine last time, and I'm with you that
trip.
she's the third horse, but right, I mean, why are we supposed
Inside,
to?
outside, perfect split.
Yeah, right. She got a great ride by Kendrick, and
No.
it feels to me like the whole world is going 2-10 in this race, for better or worse.
Right, and I will say, at least with Boxed Wine, maybe you say that she has taken that big step forward from 2 to 3. Maybe she is that improved 3-year-old, as her numbers do suggest, with that last win, but she still needs to take a little bit more of a step forward, and she could, but she would need to in order to compete with some of the top two. So if I'm thinking 2 horses are better than her, I'm not going to add a third on my ticket just because.
No, I agree with that. I'm all 210. If somebody else wins this race, I lose. Should we break here?
Sure.
All right, we'll break here. We'll be back with race number 6, the Pick 6.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
We are back. Sarah Bodway and Andy Serling, race number 6. I got to tell you something.
Tell me.
I know I took Venge, and here's Venge finishing second, Upside Potential, and this is probably a horrible pick on my part, and you're probably right to put the horse second because he has had a zillion chances, but you do kind of have to ask yourself, as we take a look at Venge's race 2 back, why Ray Handel both moved this horse up significantly in company, but more importantly, why he stretched out to a mile. And I wonder if just less distance, the drop down is going to get it done. But I can't blame you at all for just not wanting any.
I actually picked the 7 on top, who isn't playing. So Hours in a Day, I assume, is the horse that you were talking about. That's going to be a much, much shorter price than the morning line suggests. But
what morning line did Craig make that horse?
3-1.
Oh.
He'll be 8-5 or under.
You think so? Oh, Irad's riding.
Yeah.
Right.
Fletcher, first time in for a tag.
Well, I mean, is he really going to be that much shorter than my horse?
Yes.
Really?
Connections. Connections.
I mean, my horse is running consistent mid to 60 buyers.
Right. And your horse, when he's been in company that's realistic, he's run well, even though he's finished second.
But you really think that Hours and Day will be separated that much in
Yes.
price?
Connections.
And you still, even with the scratch, stayed with him?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't love this horse. This is not a horse that I'm going to the window to bet.
If you loved a horse in this race, I'd have to give you a brain check. If you loved a horse in this race, this would be a race where I tell you if you had some ridiculous 20-to-1 shot, I'd allow you to love that horse. Not love it, but want to bet here. The stat that Sarah's referring to, I said something on Twitter, is that Todd Pletcher, with second time starting, maiden special to maiden claimer on the dirt, in sprints is 1 for 12 with a 38-cent ROI, and overall he's 4 for 23 with a $1.06 ROI, suggesting that when he drops them second time out, I got the usual chorus of morons on Twitter.
It's the negative that it looks like it is.
No, it's a compliment. In other words,
No, him dropping the horse.
he just is dropping bad horses. That's all he's doing. Todd would say that. He'd say, I'm not surprised they're not winning. I'm dropping bad horses. Any, trainers like Todd, especially when you have, first of all, right away, like 150,000 for a gun runner. So right away, there's like an alarm going off.
Yes, absolutely. Big red flag.
Todd's just telling you, I think this horse is not very good. But the thing about Todd is, he has a lot of these drop downs, and they aren't very good, yet they seem to win or run. So,
And I just didn't love anybody else enough to go against a horse that I think is the most likely winner of this race. This is not a creative opinion. He's going to be a very short price. Anybody can see that this is a horse that
Speed.
they had some hopes for, didn't work out. So now he's in a spot where maybe he might just be too good.
he didn't even get bet that much in his debut, right? I mean, it's a Todd Pletcher.
3-1. He could have easily been favored.
The end of April at Gulfstream Park, Todd Pletcher gun runner debuting at 3-1. That's like an announce. He sucks.
Yes.
But he sucks can still be good enough to win here. What about a Puru? I mean, I don't like a Puru as a horse, and I know you're not a particular fan of him either, but Linda Rice is good with maidens off the claim. But could he have been any worse last time?
Right, and really, I do respect this first off the claim move, but at the same time, you're looking at a horse that has never run particularly fast, has never run particularly well, and should have really done much better last time. I did not see a huge excuse for this horse who was bet down so significantly to run not only not second, but third.
To be fair, he had an excuse. He's slow.
Oh, like, are we allowed to use that as an excuse now?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
Can I say, like, I'm tired?
He couldn't get by shaking the bell. And listen, with all due respect on shaking the bell, who I have fourth at least, I mean, with no disrespect, I got to say Ruiz to Flavian Pratt is a pretty significant upgrade, no?
And that the price difference that they're likely to be, I mean, if shaking the bell's a bigger price than a Puro, why wouldn't you want that horse that already defeated him?
I don't know. At least I have the 6 in their fourth.
Well, I don't have them at all, but.
Teasing. Yes. This is a funny race because I don't think you're wrong about hours in a day. I couldn't bring myself
I would love
to
to
pick
be.
him. But
maybe we'll have him at pick 6 carryover.
the problem is, Sarah, there isn't even, at least in your estimation or mine, and you are constantly looking for outliers, who are you supposed to take in here to be creative?
Right, exactly.
Who is the clever horse, if there is one?
I've
That horse
missed it. Maybe
eluded
Mr.
us.
Georgie, but I couldn't put him on top. I thought he ran well 2 back, but last time, eh.
Yeah. No, the problem with his race 2 back, you're forgetting, is that was that big speed track on March
yes.
30th.
Yeah, so he
That's
was helped by
why,
that.
specifically, I didn't like him, actually. His race that looked okay came on a track that was heavily biased. Race number 7, the Pennine Ridge. And the Pennine Ridge is named for a very nice horse in Pennine Ridge. And for those people, though, that ask themselves why there is a race named for Pennine Ridge was owned by Alan Dragone. Alan Dragone was the longtime chairman of NYRA and a very, very nice man, a very kind man at December Hill Farm. So I always consider this race to have been sort of named in his memory, much like the Sea Hero statue. I don't think it's unfair to say, not for nothing, why is there a Sea Hero statue at Saratoga? It's in honor of Paul Mellon. Who did so much for racing over the years. So I always liked this race because I knew Alan just a little bit, but he was a good guy, and
nice.
And so I always feel this race was named for him. And he, by the way, Pennine Ridge is a pretty good horse. I mean, I'm not saying he should be having stakes named for him, but he was a good horse. Dave Donk trained him. Legends of Time will show his race 2 back in the Sarah's favorite race, the Jumeirah Classic.
Oh, how did you guess?
I know.
Best performance I've seen all year.
Well, I'm more of a fan of the Guineas, the Jumeirah Guineas.
Oh, okay.
You like the Classic. You're a little,
I mean, okay. What are you going to do? You can't differentiate.
I don't trust him.
No.
He is the best horse in this race.
Yes.
To me, there's really little doubt. The horse he's beating for Godolphin, like a drum in this race, Musical Act, ran a very respectable 5th in the Transylvania. Now, Transylvania was kind of a sucky race, to be honest, but still, this horse crushed him. He got fresh last time, and they couldn't control him. And so it's good and it's bad, because the problem is, on paper, he's kind of the speed. But don't you feel like they are definitely going to rate him today?
And if they don't, how fresh is he going to be? What sort of antics is he going to bring to the table? Because it's not as though nobody else in this race could be forward or could have some speed. He should be in front, but they might change things after how he performed last time.
Right. The question is, though, don't you believe that, because it was a big topic of discussion with Charlie Appleby, that what they've done over the last month with him, and it's actually not that long, right? It's just 3 weeks since that race, is try to do something to get him to relax a little bit more. Maybe it was his first race in the country. On the other hand, maybe he's just a fraud. You know what I mean?
It's also Kentucky Derby weekend. It's a little bit busy at Churchill Downs.
Yeah, but I don't.
The crowd there is different than the crowd he'll see here.
I know, but I don't know. You know, I'll give you an example of how ridiculous, and I'm not saying anything's possible. the person who said it's somebody I like and respect a lot, so I'm not going to be
Disclaimer.
as mean as I'd like to be. But there was talk about My Main Squeeze, the New York bred, how she had been running at Aqueduct, and apparently there's nobody at Aqueduct. There actually are people here, but nobody. And then she was apparently in front of a very big crowd at Oaklawn. Crowds at Oaklawn may or may not be, they get good crowds. Okay. And that's why she got out of the gate. But apparently it was not a problem in Kentucky Oaks Day when there were twice as many people as there could possibly have been at Oaklawn. So I wonder about those things a little bit. I always think those things are more horse related than they are. I mean, a horse could freak out in a, maybe a horse might freak out in the post parade or something because of a crowd. Are they really doing it in the race? You know what I mean?
I mean, it depends on the horse. I think that that's such a case-by-case basis that obviously with My Main Squeeze, we saw her perform well with a big crowd. Clearly there was some other issue.
Something went wrong, breaking from the rail, whatever, and she ran well in there, and it was nice to see her do well, as a matter of fact. I'm going to go with he's the best horse in the race. But I'll tell you something else. I don't think he's going to be 2-1. I think he's going to be 6-5.
Right. He's going to be overbet simply because it's Charlie Appleby, it's Godolphin, and it's a horse that came over from Europe.
And what do we do with risk tolerance? There's no question that risk tolerance was professional winning. But to be fair, he did have a perfect trip, and it's not like Costalong came back and ran a big race last weekend.
He regressed significantly.
Right. So, and I'm not saying that.
He's run big races before.
He's run well before, right. It's not as though this was an aberrantly high race and he just didn't come again. And he may be pretty good. I don't know, Sarah. I have obviously I want to see him do well.
Sure.
Is he going to be in front, or is White Palomino going to be in front? Because don't you think one of these two Chads will be in front?
I think one of them is likely to show some early speed, and they can both be forward, but I would think risk tolerance is the more likely of the two to be in front based on where he was in his last race. The second place finisher of that race, Costalong, who we talked about, that was his highest Beyer speed figure in 7 starts. He regressed next time, fastest race for the third place.
He was second off a layoff. Maybe he didn't come back to it.
Second to program trading. He's not terrible. I mean, he's
he's a decent
some ability,
horse, yeah.
but
sure.
I just kind of wonder that the third place finisher, that was his fastest race. Coming back now, Chad Brown, 3-year-old maiden winner last time out versus graded stakes company on the turf. He's 3 for 23 over the past 5 years. 13%, $1.61 ROI, which tells me he doesn't do this all that often.
At Naira, with second-time starters off maiden wins and turf routes, he's 11 for 46, $1.46 ROI. I don't know if you're going to get 3-1 on him either. I think he can win. Obviously, you think he can win as well. I'm just not sure if we're supposed to be over the moon about him. And I also read, I think, since I have an enormous amount of axes to grind in my life, as you well know, if you're going to have an axe to grind, you better be accurate. And I thought what Marcus Hirsch wrote in the Daily Racing Form was disgraceful. You want to knock us for things, there's plenty to knock us for. And to make some big thing about, you could at least show 12 seconds of the gallop out. Time it, Marcus, it was 20. Okay, so if you're going to criticize us, we showed the gallop out. The horse was practically being unsaddled on the backstretch by the time we stopped it. And I don't disagree.
Also, it's a bad angle.
I mean, could we pan out occasionally a little bit? I don't disagree with that. I don't care that much about the gallop out, but I don't think he's wrong about that. But if you're going to call us on timing and be specific, call us out accurately, especially if you're going to do it in print in the Daily Racing Form. No, there are things to call us out on, and I don't have a problem with having some issues, but there are ways to do it, and one way to do it is not to be inaccurate in the Daily Racing Form, the racing's Bible. So before we get on to more reasonable horses, feel free to share with me how Cable Ready's possibly going to win this race.
I mean, looking at that last race, obviously it's a big move up, but it was also the first time that this horse was trying the turf. I know he barely got there. He had a nice trip towards the inside, but he was able to defeat some nice New York breds.
Sonic Speed, you'd like him in here? And Laurel Valley?
They're not terrible horses. They're
horses but they couldn't beat here.
They're horses that have run faster than other horses in this field so far, unfortunately. I mean, I don't know that they're that quality, and obviously many of the other 3-year-olds in this race have quite a bit of upside, but if you look at just who's running the fastest races and what price he's going to be, is he really that far off risk tolerance? No.
I hear you. I understand. You're not wrong. From a speed figure standpoint, he certainly makes a certain amount of sense. But from a realistic standpoint, he doesn't make much, at least to me. But he's a big price, so I wish you luck. Triple Espresso and White Palomino. I'm not a big White Palomino fan. The best thing that happened to him would probably if he went to the lead and the pace was slow. I don't think Triple Espresso is impossible, but isn't he a horse that's going to be a bit pace compromised in here?
He is. And isn't he a horse that they've really had these high expectations for? And this is the only race where it's fully panned out. It was also his only start on Lasix. And this is a situation where you have a horse that they've really been ambitious with, and he's shown up in some tougher spots. But at the same time, how good is he? How much do you trust him to get his second victory now after all of these starts where he's run okay?
I will say one thing about him. And frankly, the connection should actually thank Jose Ortiz for this, because had he finished second in the JR Stakes, he probably would be coming out of a 20th place finish in the Kentucky Derby, because they would have gotten the points to run, and he would have absolutely gotten nothing in that race. Having said that, to be fair to Jose, was probably a little bit unlucky. But on the other hand, when you're rallying and the field's coming together, swing him to the far outside. I mean, why was he getting cute going between horses? Yeah. Because this horse got in significant trouble. Though the funny thing is, and it benefited or not benefited West Saratoga, depending on how you look at it. West Saratoga actually ran extremely well and deserved to be second, but he ran a better race. But Triple Espresso should have been second last time.
The Gray third, ends up winning the Preakness. So
there you go.
Look, he's kept good company, but
yes.
you know.
No, I don't. The only thing I'll say with him, I think he is improving a little bit.
That's
the problem is he improving as a 3-year-old? But was he doing it down in Florida?
Was he improving on synthetic?
Yeah, I don't really know. Royal Majesty's going to have some fans. He's got a huge pedigree, a Frankel, and that's the Crown Queen was a half to Royal Delta, I want to say.
Oh, really?
She's a.
I know Mott trained her.
Yeah,
as
she's
well.
you can show the replay of her last race, his last race. She's a. Who's the dam? That dam that always Herbie Castillo always rode her. The dam of Royal Delta was a horse that ran a lot of races. The Meadowlands. Herbie Castillo rode her, and she was famous for this.
Delta Princess.
Was it Delta Princess? Yeah, that sounds right.
Anyway,
I thought this horse got an absolutely perfect trip against a subpar field last time.
And I know some people are going to see the note, bumped around at the break. Did this horse really have trouble?
No.
I don't think so. I thought this horse ran well, but...
The Kentucky chart calls continue to impress me as the most ridiculous chart calls in history. Bump start is correct, because he bumped into somebody else.
Right.
He caused the incident. He broke a step slow, but he got an unbelievably great ride from Junior thereafter and a perfect trip.
But how good is he really? He's not fast enough.
Right, he's not improving enough in his 3 starts so he can win. We'll see what happens here in the Pennine Ridge, race number 8. I thought this was a fun race, and I guess it's fair or unfair that they both Roagna and the other California horse drew in the other division, because this is obviously the softer division here. You and I obviously saw the race in a very similar manner. Why don't you talk about Stella Mars?
I just feel as though this horse, cutting back a little bit in distance, now second off that layoff, she ran okay last time.
I agree.
She was closing in some ground against horses that we think are in the tougher division of this race earlier on, as well as overacting. And she's a horse that's done some of her better running in route races as well. So I like that Mike Maker has her in the barn now, adding blinkers on. Maybe they'll be a little bit more aggressive with her, but she has some forward position in that last race.
I agree with everything you're saying. I think she is a very, very logical horse. And one thing about her is she has a lot of consistency. She's a horse that's pretty good about just showing up most of the time, and you can't knock the Maker improvement. Guys, cut out the video. We don't need to show Saratoga gaze. I must have been stoned or something when I sent that in. I have no idea what I was thinking, so you can get rid of that video. But I want to say a couple of things about horses in here before getting to the horse I picked on top, and Sarah obviously feels the same way about. Smoky Eyes. Yeah, Smoky Eyes can win this race. And I know maybe she would have won last time if she hadn't stumbled to start. She was running against Sarah and I in a horse suit 6 times. I mean, that was a terrible, terrible field that she was running against last time. And okay, is she a better turf horse? I don't know, Sarah, is she? Because frankly, she was a 2-year-old that looked like she had some real promise that never got out of 3rd gear as a 3-year-old. She never ran a particularly good race last year, and I say that having picked her in 3 or 4 of those races. She was awful.
Her fastest race is on dirt.
Yeah, and I feel like she's getting bet, and I'm just not sure. And by the way, I think that Bill Mott is a really great trainer. Is he going to improve this horse so much from Christophe Clement? So I just think she's kind of mediocre.
Kind of average. Yes.
She kind of runs a race, and I think there are far more interesting horses, which is why I went to the 10, Artemis Gow, who you're getting a rider change. Now listen, she didn't get off the rail last time. On the other hand, sometimes horses are spinning their wheels in the rail, and if you look past her last race, she's running figures in the mid-60s as a 2-year-old, which can easily become mid to high 70s as a 3-year-old. She gets a rider change for her second start. David Donk's horses often need races off a layoff, and I just thought she was a reasonable horse to improve.
Yeah, absolutely. She makes a lot of sense. And anything like that first race, I mean, even the second one, okay, a stakes race, then the dirt. So really, you're just looking at her first race and a race where she was coming off a significant layoff. There's a lot going for her if looking into this race. And this is not a barn that really fires with first-time starters either.
Well, she fired that day to beat me. I think I made a big bet on the second horse. I think.
Oh, you like Bossy Jeans, didn't you?
No, I wasn't here that day. I was in.
Okay.
It was Breeders' Cup weekend. No, I bet Stars in the City, whoever the hell she was. I think.
Okay.
I want to talk about Smoke and Kitty, who we did not put in our top 4, and maybe I should have put 4th. But I do have a bit of a thing for Highway Harmony I want to get to. And we'll make sure we don't run out of time. This is her win at Saratoga. This is an aberrant effort for her in the turf, but nonetheless, it was a pretty square figure that she ran, right? And a figure that makes her a player in this race. And can't you make the argument that she's a new horse for Horacio de Paz? Her last 2 dirt races are significantly better than any dirt races she's run. And maybe she's a turf horse that suddenly got better on the dirt, and now she's going to get back on the right surface and transfer that improvement there and just beat these horses.
It's certainly plausible. I think that you also have to consider that she could be in front in this race, depending on what Highway Harmony does.
And yes, depending on Highway Harmony, I agree. But I also think that this is the kind of horse that normally I wouldn't look at, but she's improved. Now, I wish she had run better dirt races and hadn't won easily in those races, so she was a little more dirtied up because she's a 4-1 morning line. I don't disagree with Craig. She's going to get bet off dirt races, but there's also a chance she's just a better horse now.
I think that's completely possible. I also just sort of wonder who she was facing in those last 2 starts.
I know, but she ran.
She did.
She ran.
absolutely showed
She's
up.
never been any good before on the dirt. Highway Harmony is just a horse that probably should have been spending more time on the turf, though I wonder if she might be better off running in shorter races.
I mean, look at the first race.
Right, I know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
I know you know.
Race number 9, this is the one race that I texted Craig about. I said I would be nice to him, but man, he blew it in here. You can't look at a race like this and have the kind of drop downs, and we'll start with the horse you have on top, Valenzen Day, and we'll show his win 3 races back. You can't have a race like this and see Valenzen. Now, you don't have to like Valenzen Day.
Sure.
You don't have to like Skylander, though you and I obviously do like them.
They're obvious
But
horses.
these horses are dropping off cliffs in a race where who the hell do you want to pick in this race? So they're not going to be 10 and 15 to 1,
No.
respectively. They're going to be both fractions of that, I would assume.
I would think so. I mean, I don't necessarily know that they'll be favored over Candy Tycoon, but
No,
they'll
I
be
don't.
short
I agree with that. I don't
prices.
have a problem with that. Yeah.
They won't be 15 to 1 and 10 to
Right.
1. And I think that we're both looking at the 2 horses that had some races that were faster and against better company than a lot of the horses they're about to be facing in this race. And it's fair to question whether or not either of them can run at all anymore. But at least with Valenzen Day coming in off the waiver, off a layoff, second time,
I was
stretching
going to
back
claim
out
him
in
for
distance.
40 last time, Sandy, so I'm just letting you know.
Yeah?
You really missed an opportunity.
Pool
for
together
me.
some money?
Yeah.
And with Skylander, you're also dealing with a horse that was facing a world, a galaxy of better horses in his last couple of starts.
And let me say something else. We'll show Skylander's win. And you and I saw this race exactly the same. You have a little bit stronger against Candy Tycoon, and we'll get to him in a second. And we do need to some. Well, we're good. We have until 5 after, so we're fine.
Oh, yeah. Well, and we're on the show early. I mean, they have to wait for us to.
No, that's not how it works, Sarah. TV waits
kidding.
for no one.
I'm kidding.
And this is fake TV, guys.
Oh, yes.
The thing I would say also about Skylander is, and now maybe in some ways this makes the severe drop worse, the last race is a disaster. Now, obviously, the horse had no chance. You could also argue the rail was good and the horse is out in the middle of the racetrack, but the last race was a disaster. The race 2 back probably wins this race, or certainly makes him a major contender. So it's not like this horse has 5 terrible lines and the big drop. Now, it is coming off a bad race, but it was a killer field relative to these.
Oh,
And
sure.
I'm with you. I just want the drop downs here because
I'm tired of the rest of these
Durkin's
horses.
call just
He doesn't
never
win.
ever wins. He doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to go a mile. He hangs. I mean, Candy Tycoon. Okay, he can try to win this race. First of all, he's got to try to do it on the front end. Well, you've got Prince of Joy in this race, and you've got Tommy Gun in here. So it's hard to imagine he's going to have some cozy time up front. He is dropping a lot, but he's a little bit past his due date, and
Yes.
really we like Funkenstein in here. We like Cheeky Tico. I suppose neither one of them are impossible in here, but give me the drop downs in here, and that's what I want.
And I'd rather find out that they can't run a step anymore than take the horses that I'm already suspect of at this level.
And I don't think they're going to be, they're obviously not going to be 10 or 15 to 1. Someone's trying to tell me something. They're not going to be 10 or 15 to 1. But I don't think they're going to be 3 to 1 either. So I just think they're going to be significantly shorter in the 4 to 5 range or something like that.
Which is fair.
We'll see what happens in here. And it's just, I mean, is it familiarity breeds contempt, or do we know these horses well enough to know that they just aren't very good?
Or realism.
Right. Race number 10. I was actually kind of hoping they'd scratch Jimmy the Tooth and run Bosso 302. We both took Jimmy the Tooth. Why don't you talk about him?
mean,
oh, wait, no, wait. Can we show the Jimmy the Tooth replay? I'm sorry. I know I have it third since we both picked him. Can we show that one first? We're in race 10, guys. We'll give you some time to catch up.
there we go.
There we go. Could we please show Jimmy the Tooth?
There he is.
This replay, thank you. Why did you pick him?
Going from that 2-year-old form and running numbers in the mid 60s, you think with a step forward as that progressive improvement from 2 to 3, and a horse that actually ran well in his first 2 starts in addition to this blowout victory. I mean, you could argue that he was against a company at Kentucky Downs, where that's a course that many don't necessarily
Did you watch
handle.
that replay?
He was inside.
No. Don't concern yourself with his trip. He was a little off the rail. The rail was
Yeah.
good. He ended up, anybody who's watched the replay knows why I'm laughing. It was a dust bowl. Watch it. Watch that replay. It's a
Dirt.
Watch it.
His first dirt start.
I've never seen a track in my entire life kick up dirt like that course was kicking up on the turf. It was crazy. I agree with you. Obviously, I agree. You can improve 2 to 3, and it's like big prankster Russi and Allied Attack. Who do we want from that race? Okay, do we want Allied Attack, who was chasing inside? I don't know. Maybe we want Big Prankster, who absolutely lacked room down in the inside. There is no question about it. He was completely stymied. He picks up Joel Rosario for this race. I thought Russi ran okay, picking up pieces at the end. I don't know. I mean, this was a weird move by Dylan. He overcommitted inside and just got completely schnookered in there. I think all of
that's
these
a
horses
fun
are
word.
contendered here.
Yeah, they all have some sense to come into this race. I think with Allied Attack, it's more just that it's only his second start on the turf, and I think he was waiting for him a little bit. But once he got it, he didn't really have much of a kick. Big Prankster is the horse that I think was the most inconvenienced by that trip, had absolutely nowhere to go through the length of that stretch. But Russi ran well in there as well, and I don't think you could totally dismiss any of those 3.
Should we also be including Lil Lang? I mean, Lil Lang was under the gun the whole way, and obviously there's probably other speeds in here, but I think to ignore the rider switch to Flavia Pratt is foolish, and I actually thought he was a little bit interesting and might get ignored out of that race. And that's a pretty big rider change.
It is. Do you think that switching over to turf, Majestic Arc from the far outside is going to try to go if he can bring some of that speed and his newfound form to the grass?
He's a trick.
I don't see him as a winner, but I think he could muddle the pace.
I don't want that horse. I just don't think he ever gets into the race. I'll be surprised if he does, to be honest. So no, I don't think he's even remotely fast enough to be a pace factor in this race.
Okay.
I'd be shocked if he's anywhere close. I think the question is, Irad's going to have to go with Allied Attack, and I think you're going to see Allied Attack try to wire the field, and I'm not sure he can't. I just can't. Yeah. You've got him second, but it doesn't. He's the one who's got the speed, and Irad has no choice. He's got to go from the rail. I think the funny horse, and we both left him out, is the number 4 Power Attack, who's 5. I was trying to see his odds was 5 to 1 morning line. I don't know what price is going to be, and we'll look at his last race, because you could just say, well, I don't understand. You guys are throwing out a horse that ran an 80 buyer last time on the turf, and isn't an 80 buyer going to probably be effective in here? And you know what, Sarah? It's not a bad argument.
This field, that field.
I don't like who we faced in here. I agree. I have trouble. But having said all of that, he still ran fast enough to beat these horses, and he's not going to be 7 to 5 in here. And the truth is, there aren't a lot of races where a stick-out fig is going to be 5 to 1 or 4.5 to 1.
Yeah.
So if somebody says to me, I think Power Attack ran a faster race than these, and you're dismissing them, and you're wrong, and I'm going to bet them,
Go ahead.
what is the big argument against that argument?
No,
you and I don't love
true.
them. We feel like there's more interesting horses in this race, but maybe we're being a little snotty.
It's
You
possible.
know what I mean?
I remember that we were both a little hesitant on him last time when he won with that number because he had dropped in for a tag and then won on the synthetic and had that big improvement. And we wanted to see it again, and we did.
And we did.
We
Yeah,
did.
That's a good point. And the other thing was, I think one of the things we didn't like was, because were we on the air for that race?
Yes.
Was that we thought it was ridiculous that Borletti was a heavy favorite in there.
We did Talking Horses. I don't think we were on the air at that
Okay,
time.
well, I was on the air, I think, and I was
somebody
saying
else.
that this horse was like 5-1. He ended up going off 3-1 late. He came down. So race number 11, I'm going to give you a hard time in race number 11.
Okay.
Good news, though, we have no replays for race number 11. If you can find one, I can't. Is Special Agent Johnson from a movie or something? Is that why you liked it, or is that X-Files?
I have no idea.
I'm going to Google
Yeah, give it a
Special
Google.
Agent
Find
Johnson
out.
because I got to think there's a reason why you like this horse, because there definitely isn't one in the PPs.
Maiden special weights, maiden claiming, aimed for a turf race last time, rained off, facing decent horses relative to this field in his first 2 starts as a 2-year-old, progressive improvement from 2 to 3. Little bit of a weird ride in that second start, being bumped early and sort of not being really persevered with, kind of a overly patient type of situation. And then he broke a little bit slow on debut, and you could always forgive the debut against El Grande O and Jimmy the Tooth. So I just wanted a horse that was dropping in class. Did you find the answer?
No, I don't agree with a single thing you said. I
No.
think
Did you find the answer for his
No,
name?
Special Agent Johnson. No, I'm getting there. I had to fix something on my phone first. I do want to see what this is.
FBI
I think
Special Agent Big Johnson is what comes up for Die Hard, but that's different.
Special Agent Johnson from Die Hard. That's
Yeah,
where it's from.
There you go.
There you go. But maybe it's somebody's friend, Special Agent Johnson, that we don't know of because the spelling may be different. I think you're completely insane, and I don't think the horse has a prayer, but have at it. Be 100-1, so go for it. What is your problem with, by the way, the line is wrong in this race. The chances that Frozen 4 is
not the
favored
favorite?
over Jay Hirsch, they're 0. 0. Isn't Jay Hirsch going to be 2-1 in this race?
Is he?
What is your argument against this horse? By the way, he's dropping like your horse. The difference between him and your horse is he actually ran credible races in his races against significantly better horses.
Significantly better?
Yeah. Some of those horses aren't that bad.
Aside from the second race, who in there is so good?
I'm sorry. You just gave me an argument about Dancing Mischief and got spooled.
No, about El Grande O and Jimmy the Tooth.
That horse got beat 10 lengths in a 5-furlong race. It's like getting beaten 500
It's
lengths.
the first race. It was 2. Leave him alone. It's fine.
What do you not like about this? By the way, Graham Motion has terrific numbers. Maiden special, maiden claimer, turf routes. 10 for 35, 275 ROI. What do you have against a horse that looks like on paper he's like a lead pipe cinch?
I wouldn't say that, but I
What?
mean,
Really?
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Should we make a $2 bet like last time?
No, I think you're just completely wrong. I think this horse is run against better horses. He's running against a weak field. I think the biggest threat to him is your mission, because your mission at least has some ability. The problem with your mission, he's one of the worst behaved horses of all time. And God bless you, Javier, give it another chance, because this horse has made the best riders in the game look bad.
And he has some ability, but he's had his opportunities, and he's very difficult.
I agree, but he still has enough ability to win this race, and I won't be surprised. Listen, I've got Solo Empire in there because at least he has a little bit of pedigree on the damn side, and I think so little of this field. And, as far as Frozen 4, he's dropping 2. He did more running than your horse.
Did he? First time
Yeah,
out?
your horse did no running. So you and I are going to agree to disagree. You even think he did some running. I think he absolutely stinks. But, hey, he's 100-1. But Frozen 4 is a new gelding and Lasix, I guess.
I mean, very enticing options for this. I mean, look, this is a horse that could obviously win, but do I want to take this horse at a short price? No, the debut was okay. The other races were okay. I don't want to take this horse as either the favorite or the second choice.
He's not going to be favored. Jay Hirsch is going to be an overwhelming favorite in this race. There's 0 chance he won't be. Impulsive Spending, you have second.
This is a horse that's also one that he hasn't had as many opportunities to disappoint in for a tag on the turf. And I think that stretching out on the grass, the figure was decent last time and really outran those 105-1 odds to even be in the mix at all with horses that were better. Maybe this horse has just wanted to turf route all along.
Or
now dropping
maybe
in
he
class.
met bad maidens in the last turf race of the year, and he just sort of plodded along and got 6th. But he'll
also
be
a
a big
possibility.
price. Okay, we see this race 1,000% differently.
1,000?
Yeah, I think that Jay Hirsch is an absolute stick out in this race.
Would you
And
single in multis?
No,
Not
I'd
that you
use the
have to have
3
a
a little
single,
bit.
but-
I use the 3 a little bit, and I'd throw in my goofy 1 as a price who at least has some pedigree and maybe could move forward off of that. And I'll tell you something else. Solo Empire could be in position to try to lead this field on a merry chase. He is faster than these horses early.
I also don't think the number 7 Sweet Tone is completely impossible either. Clearly a turf horse.
Why not?
Why not? Clearly a turf horse, dropping in class.
Well, I don't think it's fair to the actual turf horses in this game to tell you this is clearly a turf
Well,
horse.
he's clearly a turf horse relative to his dirt races.
Yes and no. You know,
He's a slow horse, but he's
right,
better
the
on the
pro-
grass.
I don't think he is, but that's fine. I think that grass racing, he is a perfect example of why trainers like grass racing for slow horses. And you know what? The same ones that are complaining about the possibility of synthetic racing here in the winter when we
Will
get to
benefit
Belmont
greatly.
will realize that they love it after a certain point because it'll bring their slow horses together. And so I think Sweet Tone looks a little better on turf because turf racing makes slow horses look better than dirt racing. But hey, that's a conversation for another time. But I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And the good news for both Sarah and I is we've got another 2+
3 more
hours.
hours.
Not 3.
Oh, 12:30 to 3, 2.5?
No, it's more like a little after 2:30. And don't forget, a lot of that time
until
they're
3.
they're at Monmouth.
But I still have to sit next to you.
Yeah, but I'm well behaved. I
Sometimes.
have to finish some work on.
I do have to do some work
on
as well.
Monday's card. I haven't.
Yeah.
There's some
We'll just listen
complicated
to
races
Lafitte.
on Monday.
It's all good.
I can't stand Lafitte. Lafitte, the Dodgers. You know, I invited him to a Dodger game this week, and he blew
Why
me
would
off.
you do that?
Because I happen to like him. I don't know why, but I do. Head over to Naira Bets. No better time than the present. Use the promo code BelmontBet. Belmont 25, excuse me, and we'll give you a Belmont bet. Plus, we'll give you $200. We'll match the $200 of your initial deposit. We have track stats, big track stats. Matt had like 350 people on a Spaces for something for Assiniboia.
Oh, yeah, it's his
Guys-
favorite track.
Guy's a legend. Also, we have the $15 bonus, 75 or more at Belmont and Monmouth. Opt in, you get $15, win or lose. And there are no secret night races involved in this promotion either.
Was that a problem?
Double secret. I think you need another password. It's like like those fake speakeasies where they say you have to know the password and they give it to everybody. Belmont, the Big A, middle pick 4, races 2, 8, and I think this is 5,
5,
right? And race 4 is the middle pick 5 with
Mandatory
a mandatory payout. We have cross country pick 5. That'll start in the Pennine Ridge. Love the Pennine Ridge. And all the action, 12:30 to 3. See, we're not on till 3. We get off before that because they go to Monmouth after
yeah?
us. Yes.
So we
And-
get to leave earlier.
you read the rundown. Who are you lying
Did
to?
I?
I don't know. You're pretty efficient. 3 to 5 on FS1. All the action here in Monmouth between 12:30 and 5. Sarah, thanks again. Chris Griffin, you are up next with a reprise, the Scratch and Changes.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.